Hi, hello. My name is Eduardo Mora. Today, or right now, I am going to do a summary on the poem Somewhere I Have Never Traveled, Gladly Beyond by E. E. Cumming. So, next slide. A brief introduction of the poem Somewhere I Have Never Traveled, Gladly Beyond by E. E. Cumming is a love poem that describes the deep emotion effects a woman has on the author. Throughout the poem, the author describes feelings he cannot fully explain or understand. He has to go on a journey, quote unquote, journey, to understand his emotion and discover feelings he has never had before. And then throughout the poem, he shows how vulnerable and powerful this woman really is towards him. Moving on to the next slide. So, the poem goes like this. The title is Somewhere I Have Never Traveled, Gladly Beyond. Any experience, your eyes have their silence. In your most fragile gestures are things which enclose me, or which I cannot touch because they are too near. Your slightest look easily will enclose me, though I have closed myself as fingers. You open, always petal by petal, myself as spring opens, touching skillfully, mysteriously, her first rose. Or if you wish to close me, I and my life will shut very beautifully, suddenly, as when the heart of this flower imagines the snow carefully everywhere descending. Nothing which we are to perceive in this world equals the power of your intense fragility, whose texture compels me with the color of its countries, rendering deaf and forever with each breathing. I do not know what it is about you that closes and opens. Only something in me understands. The voice of your eyes is deeper than all roses. Nobody, not even the rain, has such small hands. Moving on to the next slide. This looks like a bunch of gibberish, but I swear I'm gonna get into it. Alright, so I guess some key takeaways that I want to point out. Uh, it looks like it's a bunch of scribble scrabbles, but I don't know. These like red, like little circles. Uh, I pointed out that his poem is like a four-line stanza. It's the format of the poem that he wrote. He writes four lines and then he skips a line and then he goes on four more, skips a line, four more. You get the idea. Another thing that I realized is that throughout the poem, he he doesn't capitalize the I, and that was something that like caught my attention the more that I read the poem. I don't know. Something that I wrote down was that the reason why he lowercase the I was because he was trying. I don't know. I guess he feels himself as like a lower being, like compared to the woman. He sees her as like this goddess, and he's just like he feels so vulnerable towards her. Like he just wants to worship her. Like he feels so small around her. So that's the reason why the eyes throughout the poem are like highlighted. But I don't. I'm gonna go base. I'm gonna go from every like stanza and try to explain what I wrote down. So from the beginning, somewhere I have never traveled gladly beyond any experience. Your eyes have their silence. Over here, he puts a colon, and then like from somewhere to silence is just him like repeating his title. Well, besides the your eyes have their silence. Right now from the colon, he's like gonna explain what he means by that line. And I mean, I don't know. If like you didn't realize it or not, his whole poem, he says that he's gonna go on a journey, but he's not talking about like a physical journey. He's talking about like not like a spiritual one, but more like he's just gonna explain or like he's gonna go and discover like what power this woman has towards him. Uh I wrote down here his journey is uh with this girl, exploring her and what she does to him. So he's like gonna figure out the power that this girl has towards him and like try to explain it the best he can. And he does it really good. Your slightest oh wait, never mind. In your most fragile gestures are things which enclose me or which I cannot touch because they are too near. Your slightest look easily will enclose me, though I have closed myself as fingers. He talks about himself shutting in like closed fingers, but just by her simply looking at him, he opens up. So I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. He's like he's like trying to say that he's a really shut-in person, but this person has like this big power towards him that he will like easily open just by like just looking at him. He's like so in love with her that just by her looking at him, he's able to open up and like feel so emotional. Uh, you op slide his fingers. You open always petal by petal. Myself as spring opens, touching skillfully my mysteriously her first rose. I was like really thinking about this line. At first, when he said you open always petal by petal, myself as spring, I thought he was talking about the girl being a rose and he was like spring. But I had to like really think about it, and then I was like, he's talking about himself as the rose and then the woman as spring. Because on the next line, he says her first rose. So I was like, he's describing himself as the rose, going back to like the finger thing where it's like he opens up, and then how the woman is the spring. I don't know. There's like this thing where it's like roses or like flowers know when to like bloom by the time of spring. Like they don't really need a clock or anything, so they just like open up by themselves. So like that's what he's saying, is that he's the rose and then that she's the spring, and that just by her being around, he knows when to like be himself, which was like another cool little thing. Or if your wish be to close me, I and my life will shut very beautifully, suddenly as when the heart of this flower imagines the snow carefully everywhere descending. So I mean, the like last line is also going back to the spring thing where it's like, I don't know if, well, starting from the beginning, he's like he's saying that he'll do anything for her, that even if she tells him to like to shut to like stop talking to her or anything, he'll do it with like no complaints. He'll do it beautifully, or he'll do it like fast, just for her, just because she said it. And then going to the next line, he's talking about if she decides to like not be part of his life, then he'll just be again a shut in, and then he'll he won't have his spring no more, which is like a really cool line. I'm gonna say cool a lot, and I'm sorry to say that. I don't know what else to say, but it's like I don't know. It's a really sweet poem, and it's really interesting, like the symbolism and like the metaphors that he like spreads in throughout his like four line stanza. It's really cool. Nothing which we are to perceive in this world equals the power of your intense fragility, whose texture compels me with the color of its countries, rendering deaf and forever with each breathing. Okay, so just to like save time, nothing is in this world is compared to her, is what he was trying to say over here. Nothing which we are to perceive in this world equals the power of your intense fragility. He's saying that nothing in this world is compared to her. She has control of him through death and forever. This next line where he's saying, uh, whose texture compels me with the color of its countries, rendering death and forever with each breathing. He's saying that throughout his whole life, until death do them part, she's gonna have full control of him, and that's just how it's gonna be. I do not know what it is about you that closes and opens. Only something in me understands the voice of your eyes is deeper than all roses. Nobody, not even the rain, has such small hands. So even after the whole journey that he went through, he was never really able to like find the reason why this woman has like such a strong power towards him. But it's like I don't know. It Even though he didn't really found the reason, he like explains throughout the whole poem the power that this woman has towards him. And I don't know. That was just basically the whole poem. He never really found the reason why this woman has such a strong like power towards him, but he was just really in love with this woman, and that's pretty cool, you know? I don't know. So, the theme of the whole poem, if you couldn't really catch on, was love. It was just this guy who was really in love with this woman, and he he just was going on a journey to figure out what this whole meaning of love was. Uh some like uh the what was it called? Man, I was on a roll and I forgot completely. Uh the devices that he used throughout the poem were metaphor and similes. Some metaphor and similes throughout the poem was your slightest look easily will enclose me, though I have closed myself as fingers. So he's comparing his soul to closed fingers that open with the look of just by looking at him. And then another one was you open always petal by petal, myself as spring opens, touching skillfully, mysteriously her first rose. He compares himself as a rose, uh, or her first rose that opens up during spring. Another one was symbolism. The roses, it's a universal symbol for love. He uses it to express himself as his feelings with the rose being as like the object, and then the eyes. He uses it throughout like three of the lines. He explains like the power that they have towards him, but he can't like really explain the effect. Wait, he talks about them a lot and what effects they have on him. Okay, so next slide. I forgot to say that on the other slide, but next slide. So my closing thoughts. The whole poem is just about him trying to understand the power that this woman has on him and explain the journey that he feels just by simple things that she does to him. In conclusion, he's just a lover loser who found like his happy place and wants to understand how someone who's typically a shut in himself can be so open and in love with someone. So I mean, that's the end of my presentation. Sorry if I stuttered a lot and I was like going from place to place. This was like a horrible summary, but I'm sorry. I swear I did the assignment and I like summarized and everything. But man, I'm horrible when it comes to presenting. So please be graceful on me. And end of presentation.